What's up, everybody? I hope y'all are having a wonderful day. I'm Anthony. On today's video, guess what season it is? That's right, mushroom season, more specifically chanterelles. So let's go in the woods and find some. Alright, so here are three things that I usually look for whenever I'm trying to identify a possible chanterelle. First, when you want to pick it from the ground, you should look right here at the base. It is going to be covered in those little white hairs. It's called mycelium. Since chanterelles only grow in mycelium, you should see those little white hairs sticking out the end of it. If you peel back a layer of pine straw, you'll see it there too. Now, the next step I want to look at is the gills right underneath the cap, right here. They should be very shallow, but defined enough to where you see it forking at the end of the cap. That's another good sign because they don't have those really deep gills that other mushrooms have. And finally, you want to peel it apart. It should peel apart just like string cheese, and it should be extremely white on the inside. Some smell like apricots. In my experience, that doesn't happen all the time. But yeah, that's it. All right, so before I go any further, I have to mention this. If you do not know what you're picking or what you're eating, do not eat it, okay? You have to, in the mushroom world, you have to make sure that you are identifying things 100% before you eat them, because there are several things that are lookalikes that might actually be deadly. Now, good thing about chanterelles, there are no deadly lookalikes. However, there are toxic lookalikes, and you don't want to be eating a toxic one because the toxicity of the lookalikes can, leave you vomiting or having diarrhea all night. So you want to make sure that you are 100% identifying what you're eating. So the best way I could show you to do that, to make sure you're identifying properly, is to get you a proper field guide. This one is the Field Guide to Mushrooms of the Carolinas. There are several different varieties. If you are around the country, if the West Coast, the Midwest, whatever, then you can make sure that you're getting the right field guide for your area, so you can make sure that you are positively identifying what you're picking. Now, there are other resources also. You can go online. There are Facebook groups and Reddit groups out there dedicated to identification of mushrooms with actual mycologists on there who can make sure that you're actually picking the right thing, identifying the right thing, and eating the right thing. And if all else fails, you can always ask people in your real life, like your everyday life, friends, family, whoever, that might have a good background in mushroom picking, who can show you, walk with you and say, hey, this is this, that is that. That way you're 100% sure. Cool? Well, looky what I found. Got me a few chanterelles, and they're growing up between all this pine straw litter, so it's all kind of weird and deformed, but hey. There we go. That's a win. One piece of advice I want to give y'all if you're mushroom hunting, it could be very easy to look on the ground as you're walking and completely miss walking into that. That is a humongous spider web, so keep your head up just as much as you keep it down. Cool. Sometimes when you're out foraging, you come across some friends. So, get them down there. It's alright, buddy. I'm just looking for mushrooms. Have at it. Alright, so not bad if I say so myself. That wasn't a bad haul at all, was it? Cool. Now what we're going to do is we're going to talk about ways that you can cook these things. Now, the average way that most people like to cook these style mushrooms is to just saute them in butter. But one thing I want to make sure I mention is there are two things you have to consider when you're eating mushrooms, wild mushrooms. Number one, just because a mushroom is completely edible does not mean that you can take it physically, okay? So there are plenty of different examples out there. One of them is for me, where you can eat a mushroom that's edible by the book, but it just doesn't agree with you personally. You might be allergic to something just doesn't agree with you, and you can't eat that particular style of mushroom. One of those is chicken of the woods or hen of the woods. Those mushrooms, there's a big difference in how people react to them. So just because they're edible doesn't mean you personally can take them. So my advice would be eat part of one wait about 12 hours, and if you have no reactions, then congratulations, you're not allergic to it. You can finish eating what you had. So don't eat, an entire plate full of chanterelles if you've never had them before, because hey, you might have an allergic reaction to them, or a reaction to them that's not favorable, and you'll be wishing you didn't do that. So if you eat one or half of one when you first sit down, and nothing happens to you in about 12 hours, congratulations, you should probably be able to eat more. Number two thing you have to understand is most mushrooms, 99% of mushrooms require you to cook them, all right? Just because they are edible does not mean they don't have toxins in them. You have to cook them, because things like chanterelles, morels, others that are completely 100% edible, they are considered choice mushrooms by many of the aficionados out there. They still require you to cook them, because if you eat them raw, you will get sick. All right, I went out and picked some chestnut bow leaves a couple months ago. I didn't cook them enough, and I had pretty good stomach cramps for about 3 hours. So you want to make sure that you are cooking completely 100% through before you eat them. So like I said, there are toxins in all mushrooms. It's a defense mechanism that they use so animals don't eat them immediately, so they can keep spreading around the forest floor. So you have to understand, just because it's edible doesn't mean that it's not toxic. Cook it, destroy the toxins, and you should be good to go. So with that being said, the way we're going to cook these is I'm going to put them on a pizza. I like eating pizza. I make pizza all the time. One of my favorite ways to use chanterelles is to put them on a pizza. So check it out. We're going to do just that. That looked pretty good, didn't it? Well, it tasted fantastic. I still have a few more. If you have extras, make sure you keep them in a paper bag in the fridge. You can keep them for about 10 days before they go bad. I usually try to eat them within about 3 to 5 days. You can put things in cream sauces. You can go ahead and just put them, like I said, in a saute and freeze them. You can even dehydrate them, but if you dehydrate them, they're probably going to lose a lot of that flavor that people like chanterelles for. So make sure that if you are, picking them, you have, the choices to use them. You don't want to just pick them and then all of a sudden they rot on your counter. Like I know a lot of people do when they go buy kale, say, I'm going to eat healthy, and it just sits there and rots in the refrigerator. So make sure if you're going to do all the work, you actually follow through and eat them. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and end the video there. If you have any other questions, please by all means put them down in the comment section. I'm going to try and do my best to at least answer them or point you in the right direction. Please leave me a thumbs up if this video helps you at all. Subscribe, and I will catch y'all on the next one, okay? Bye.